What's going on? It's your boy Sermon at Sermon's Domain on Twitter. This week's episode of Atlanta, titled Teddy Perkins, gives us our first full-length Darius episode this season. Long overdue. Darius is one of the best characters on Atlanta, so I'm glad to see him get this shine in this episode. Instead of like the usual comical type of episode, this one was actually very serious. There were a few rare funny moments here and there, but for the most part it was Darius trying to get a piano from this big luxurious mansion house, and the premise itself sounds very similar or very simple. They all start out that way. I feel Atlanta's always good at starting out with something so simple, and then by the end you're like, how the hell did we get to this moment? So in this episode we're introduced to Teddy Perkins, who is played by Donald Glover in Whiteface. This character, Teddy, is pretty much a Michael Jackson-esque character. You can hear and see the style, the mannerisms, the way that Glover talks in the role of Teddy Perkins, that it's definitely inspired by Michael Jackson. Darius goes to get this piano because he wants it for some reason. It's never really clear why exactly he wants this piano. But then again, does Darius really need motives for what he wants? He's weird, he's zany, he's spontaneous. He wants to do whatever he wants to do in the heat of the moment. And so he arrives at his house, meets Teddy Perkins, and Teddy tells him about his brother Benny, who he watches and who was a big famous pianist. And from there, it still seems normal. Like this whole episode, it seems normal, but you're, in the back of your mind, you're watching, you're like, okay, something's gonna happen. This is gonna go left field at some point. While I was watching it, I did kind of have my theories to it. I thought maybe Teddy is just making up Benny, and Benny doesn't really exist, and so we're gonna see like a weird split personality type of thing. But it turned out that Benny was actually real. We got to see Benny, who is in a wheelchair, who is all covered up because of a rare skin disease. He exists, and when Darius goes down to the basement, that's when things really take like a unique turn, because now it goes from just him trying to get the piano to him realizing that this guy Teddy wants to kill him and Benny. It goes from like a modest 30 all the way up to 100 just real quick. And one thing I wanted to point out, it was weird for Darius to start like roaming through the house. Like after Teddy left the first time, presumably to go get his water, which he never got, it was weird for Darius to start walking around the house. Like just in the back, when I was watching that, I was just like, why are you doing this? Something's gonna happen to you, dude. So after a while, we finally get to where there's this crazy twist. You got Teddy trying to kill Darius. He makes him handcuff himself to this chair that he's sitting in. And to there, I'm just like, wow. Like, it really escalated quick. It went from creepy all the way to, like, real intense. Like, what is going to happen here? And it really doesn't stop once you get to that point. Once you're at the point where he has the gun, and he puts the gun down, Benny shows up out of the elevator, grabs the gun, shoots Teddy, and then he grabs the, I don't know the proper term for it, but it's like when you have a fireplace and, you're trying to break up the wood. It's like one of those like prong type of things. He grabs that, and this is a long gun. This is like I don't know what the term is for it. It's like it's not a shotgun, but it's like one of those small double barrel guns. Then Benny kills himself. He uses the little prong to pull the trigger, and it's just like, whoa, what is going on? Like, all of this happened so quickly, and it made me wonder what this episode was all about. Like, what was the purpose? What inspired Glover and his team to create this episode, and how does it fit into the whole idea of Robin season? there's obviously theories floating around. I kind of made the mistake of looking on Twitter and seeing like a thread of conspiracy theories, or not conspiracy theories, but just theories in general about the episode. So instead of just trying to like take those ideas and discuss them, I wanted to talk about how I felt, and I'm going to include a link for anybody that wants to check out those theories, because it's really good. It kind of expands more further on the whole idea of Teddy being Michael Jackson. And going back to the question I proposed was, how does this episode fit into Robin's season? I'm looking at it from a Darius standpoint, and I can't really think of a solid reason why, like how it fits into Darius. Darius, the only thing that Darius is really robbed of is time, and the piano that he never got because it became evident. So on that front, but then you have Teddy, and Teddy's whole story being, you know, Michael Jackson, like he was pretty much robbed of his childhood. Teddy never got to be a child because his father was always pushing him on the piano and beating him, and he doesn't have any ill will towards the situation. Like, he tries to understand it, and I think that's very close to like how Michael Jackson lived. And then you got like the two personalities. You got Benny and Teddy, who technically are different people, but in a sense they're pretty much similar, because in a way I look at it like Benny is the old side of Teddy. It was the original Teddy, like the Michael Jackson side, before he had like the skin bleaching and everything. And then Teddy is the end result of that. And it's a very complex episode. It's one that is brilliant. It is amazing. I love that Glover and his team are able to have such creative freedom with the series to be able to do something like this. To go from an episode where you're, you know, talking about being a rapper and doing this, to doing a horror-like episode that's 41 minutes long, like that is something that most TV shows, A, won't try to do, B, can't pull off, and C, probably wouldn't have the freedom to do that. Glover and his team pretty much can do whatever they want at this point, because they keep proving that time and time again, you give them the opportunity and they're going to kill it. They're going to knock it out of the park. One more thing, one of my favorite rare funny moments in the episode was when Darius and Teddy first meet and they're sitting on the couch and he offers them some water. And then Teddy turns to his little intercom thing and says, "Get some water for Darius." And the conversation continues, and then after a while Darius is like, "Hey, is your butler coming with that water?" And then Teddy responds, "I don't have a butler. I just use this to remember things." And then he clicks play and he got all these different notes from him. It was funny. It was like, it's funny in an episode that doesn't have too much of it. And I also like the inclusion of Paperboy, the phone call. Because Paperboy is someone who is notoriously, like, he's serious, but he's also very funny more times than he is serious, I feel. So for him to be in this episode on the phone call, it really kind of broke up the whole mystery of what is going on. It gave you a few more laughs that this episode, you know, I don't want to say needed, but it's appreciated to have a few more laughs in the episode, because that's what Atlanta is. Atlanta is, you know, a comedy at times. And so I'm glad that they were able to infuse that in an otherwise very serious episode. So those are my thoughts on Atlanta's 6th episode of Season 2. This one was titled Teddy Perkins. After you watch this episode, I want to know what you think about it in the comment section below. What do you think this episode means? Why would Glover and his team create this episode? What purpose does it serve in the overall narrative of Atlanta and Robin's season as a whole? Talk to me in the comment section below, and then like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already, share the video. Follow me on Twitter @SermonsDomain, and as always, thank you for your time. I appreciate you for watching, and until next time, peace.